Since pre-independence days, Malaysia has had an active women's movement. The equal pay that women enjoy in government service today is taken for granted. In fact, the Equal Pay for Work of Equal Value campaign began in the 60s when the National Council of Women's Organizations worked with the Women's Teachers Union. It is a forgotten fact that women fought for this right. In the 80s, there was an emergence of women's groups whose members identified themselves as feminists. These women's groups played an active role in the civil and political rights movements. In March 2020, we witnessed the entry of a backdoor government. It was in this political context that the idea of a women's tribunal was initiated. We knew we could not just continue with press releases, memorandums, and protests. We needed to do something different. 14 women's groups came together to mount the first online women's tribunal. As a result, we had 26 witness testimonies from all over Malaysia, women from all walks of life, from rural to urban, from the peninsula to Sabah and Sarawak, from working women to women from vulnerable and marginalized communities.
Ada sip lain datang sentuh saya dengan tidak seronok, selalu bully saya sebab saya transgender dan saya aktif dalam kesatuan. Mereka nak bagi tekanan sampai saya tak boleh tahan, henti kerja atau keluar kesatuan. Ini saya perkara bukan berlaku satu kali sahaja, tetapi banyak kali.
Pengalaman dibuli menyebabkan saya tidak dapat menumpukan perhatian dalam pelajaran kerana saya selalu diejek dan dihina oleh pelajar lain. Saya berasa sangat sedih dan tidak bersemangat untuk belajar.
Throughout the rehearsals and preparations, many heads and many hands were pulling their weight, contributing wherever they could. We felt the sisterhood. We felt like we could do anything at that point. One by one, the witnesses shared with us the violence and discrimination they faced.
The country that is supposed to be protecting me, yet as a single mother I'm put into extreme vulnerability and insecurity and in constant fear of losing my children. Give birth then come back here. I mean, just be direct, because I don't know why our law don't allow us to confer. What I have a Malaysian son. What is the difference between my Malaysian son and my two daughters? I don't see the difference here. And what is the threat? What is the threat that my daughters have Malaysian citizenship? They're still small girls, little school girls.
I had to go for professional therapy for about a year to cope with my own anxiety and at my own cost. I felt that the virality of the mob attack had reduced myself and the person I am. Every inch of my body, my face, and my entirety was made into a content for the public to ridicule me. They had someone to abuse and harass for their own entertainment, and my identity was reduced as to the Sapa Muhyiddin girl, or the woman who spoke against the Muhyiddin and its government.
One by one, they shared how access to justice was denied.
There's a toxic, sexist work environment and prevalence of harassment in the workplace. Male colleagues make offensive and sexist remarks or jokes in the workplace, and it happens especially if men outnumber women in senior positions. There's an interrelationship there. This is a situation of a work environment that does not consciously bring women into decision-making process.
And we who listened felt their pain. We were filled with anger with the injustices we heard. We moved together as one for the Women's Tribunal, and many, including the witnesses, were resolute that we would continue to move together for women's rights. In 2021, Malaysia's first Women's Tribunal utilized the online space to speak truth to power. Collectively, we reimagined justice.